Well, good morning and welcome to another week of my allotment. And for those of you in the UK, you'll know what I mean when I say it's the day after Storm Keira. So I've got up here nice and early. It's a Monday, but I've got today off. There's not a lot of work on because of the weather. And not a lot for me to do because, as you'll see in a minute on the video, yesterday, let's go back a week after my last video. We had a glorious week of weather and it was lovely. The sun shone, it was spring-like, and it was so dry for so long, the allotment started to dry up a little. The water went down into the ground, so there was no standing water. And Liam, the owner of the golf range, even managed to cut the grass on the top of the hill, which is remarkable. However, along came Storm Keira and we've gone back to where we were before. So yesterday, as you'll see, the whole field was emptying through in front of me here, between me and the shed, onto my plot. So I've realised why I'm so waterlogged. The field is emptying through here, not always as a stream, but that's the direction of flow. Anyway, can't do much about that other than dig a ditch, which I'm thinking about. So this video is going to be clips of the week. So the beginning of the video, once I've finished talking, will be in glorious winter sunshine, and then there'll be a little bit of, I came up here yesterday with my daughter just to see if everything was okay. I was genuinely worried about the shed because we've got an open field here and my shed is the first thing that the wind hits, and I've been living in Chepstow 11 years. I've never seen wind as strong as we had, and got up here and it's okay. There is a bit of damage to Bridget's plot, and I'll show you that shortly, but other than that, other than a few things being blown about, which is inevitable, we got off quite lightly. So I'm now cutting some wood and I'm going to light the fire and I'm going to have a cup of tea. Let's do it. All you bushcraft aficionados out there, I know that's cheating. I haven't got the time to wait for a brew to rub two Boy Scouts together. Sorted. There's a bit welly. Well, it's very slow going, and I've actually managed to get my welly stuck once. It took me about 10 or 15 minutes to get out. I was getting quite concerned at one point. But anyway, I've made slow but steady progress. When I've filled this trench here and backfilled, that'll be about halfway. So yeah, happy with the progress. It's a very slow job. I knew it would be. It's physically tiring and hard work, and I knew it would be. But when I finished, that soil should be, I reckon, about 4 inches above the levels of the paths and their original levels, which should keep it drier for next year. We shall see. Anyway, more chippings. Well, it's a glorious day on the allotment. In fact, we've had 2 or 3 beautiful days, and it is making a difference. The ground is drying very, very slightly. However, I've been very, very busy. I've been raising beds, so digging the soil over to one side, loading in chippings, dragging the soil back, digging out the other half, and so on. And I've done 3 beds, these 2 right in front of me, and one over in the far corner over there. And as I was wheelbarrowing it all in, I've had to put these boards down. The ground was churning up. I should have put them down to begin with, but I thought it was funny that one of my subscribers, Faynites, left a comment. It was a 2-word comment, duckboards, ? And I thought how comical that, or ironic that the day before the comment was left, that's exactly what I've been doing. And actually, tell a lie, I've done 4 beds, this one here. Still, I can put up with the flooding when the weather's like this. But the one down the bottom that's still got water in it, I'm going to put a proper raised bed in, and that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. I haven't been baling this for a while, and I've been away for a few days, or 2 days, and because we've had sunshine for 3 days on the trot, this is actually emptying, starting to go down. The ground is still sodden, but it's improving. Unfortunately, next week we're forecast rain all week. So be it. Well, that's me for the afternoon. I'm home now, and this is the worst bed I've had. So this one has been flooded for months, and I've now built up a small raised bed, and I've backfilled with stuff from the compost heap that is my current heap, so it's not really decomposed at all. Now I'm putting in stuff that was in another heap that's been there since about October, so it's a little bit more broken down. Lots of worms in it, which is good news. And I've got a couple more barrow loads to do, but I've had enough today. So this compost that I'm putting in there, this unbroken down compost, I'm going to fill level with the boards, because it's going to drop inevitably, because a lot of it has got to decompose, so it'll break down. And once it's level with the boards and I've tamped it with my feet, then I'm going to start backfilling. Now I don't know yet whether I'm going to use the soil that's in that bay there that was couch grass filled soil from the second allotment I got. It's been there 3 years, so if I sieve that, it should be nice soil. Or I'm going to scrape off the bottom of where the old manure was. It's now gone, but there's still lovely soil up there because the manure's broken down into the soil. I think that's my preferred option. And then I'll backfill that, and that should make a nice crumbly texture on the top. Can't remember what I'm planting in here this year, but it's going to have a nice deep root run when it does. So happy with my afternoon's work, albeit only a couple of hours. Tomorrow's another nice day, busy at work, so I won't be up here. And then the weekend is promising to be stormy and wet, and the whole of next week is wet. So I expect everything to go backwards, but it was nice while the weather lasted, and I've made a lot of progress. And right now, it really does feel spring-like. Well, today we're in the middle of Storm Keira, and there's a bit of a lull in the storm, so we've come up to see if the allotment is in one piece. I really did fear for the shed, and I'm happy to report the shed is still upright. But as you can see from here, the water is back with a vengeance. Although my raised bed over there looks okay, but yeah, back to square one, never mind. Escorted today by my chief horticultural advisor. You don't get better advice than that.
My observations.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yet again, I've got the reservoir at the bottom of the field. Amazingly, Liam has managed to cut his grass last week. That's how dry it had become. But again, the field is emptying through the front of my shed, with a minor equivalent of the River Wye running through and onto the bed there, and then cascading down through the beds to the bottom.
Brace, brace, brace.
Okay, let's see how well the chippings are doing. Not good. Well, this is the only discernible damage from Storm Keira that I have found on the site. Bridget's greenhouse frame has been completely lifted up, bent and thrown against her shed, which is amazing when you think it's just the frame. There's no windows in it, but it's all bent and gnarled. Bit of work for her to do there, I think. Well, I don't think the storm has quite finished with us yet. The winds are picking up again today, and in Chepstow we can expect winds back up to about 40-45 miles an hour, which is what apparently we had yesterday, although I suspect the gusts were a bit stronger than that. But anyway, there's a lot of people a lot worse off all over the country. These strange places that they build houses and then every few weeks through the winter they flood, and they complain about it, and they carry on living there, and the rivers flood again, and I don't understand that. You buy a house next to a river that floods every year, and then you complain that nobody's doing anything about the fact that it floods. Anyway, I thought I'd just take stock, because everybody's getting back onto YouTube, all those people who've taken a winter break, and there's a lot of activity. Everybody's doing things slightly differently, but the theme is the same, that they're starting to sow seeds indoors and or in polytunnels and greenhouses, and I'm doing the same. So what have I done? And I have mentioned this briefly in my last video, I think, but I don't want to appear to be behind the curve. So far at home I've sown 2 lots of tomato seeds, 10 in each packet. That's Shirley and Mountain Magic. I've sown some cauliflowers, only 6 of them, and I'm going to do, you know, a dozen each month, I think, because we freeze a lot of the cauliflower through the summer and eat it through the winter with our Sunday dinners. So we've done some of those. I've just done some broccoli. They're all clubroot resistant varieties, Monclano and is it Clapton, I believe. What else have I done? I've just sown some broad beans, and that's about it so far. However, that doesn't mean that's all I've got. I've also sown some onions and garlic. The garlic we grow is Germidor. It works for me and we like the taste of it, and it stores beautifully. And so I've got some in the ground, and despite all this flooding, they're absolutely fine. And I've also brought some garlic, same Germidor, that I started off in the greenhouse, and they look wonderful. But I thought, I've got a feeling, I've read it or listened to it somewhere, that they need a little bit of cold exposure to start the cloves forming. Don't know how true that is, but I brought them out of the greenhouse and I've put them outside the shed round the back here to be exposed to a little bit of cold, and we'll see what happens there. That's all I've done so far. I am trying to restrain myself. I don't want to go too early. You know, we all know that we get bitterly cold weather in February, March, sometimes even April, so there's no point in getting ahead. As all the experts always tell you, if you go too early, you know, they either don't germinate or they get leggy and weak, and the seeds that you sow later, March, April and onwards, almost always, in every case, catch up and extend beyond and are healthier than the seeds you sowed early. So I'm in no rush, but I don't want to be behind the curve. So that's what I've done so far. The other thing I just wanted to bring you up, there was 2 things actually. The first is, I did tell you in a previous video, for those who've watched my videos, that this year, from January the 1st to December the 31st, everything we eat off the allotment, I'm going to estimate a value, a financial value. And I keep a record. Cheryl is much, much better at this than me, and she often reminds me. In fact, we had some blackcurrants in a smoothie this morning, frozen from the freezer. There's a surprise. And I haven't put them in the book, so I'll have to do in this book, so I'll have to do that tonight. However, I'm happy to report that everything we ate from the allotment, and of course it's almost all, apart from Brussels sprouts, from the freezers, produce I grew last year. But I don't worry about that. It's what we eat this year that I'm recording. So we ate in January to the value estimated of £46 and 15 pence or something. So that's not a massive amount of money, but that's 46, nearly £50 off our grocery bill, thanks to last year's produce and some Brussels sprouts, which is the only thing really we're eating live off the allotment at the moment. So £46 last month, and I shall continue. I'm going to continue with that this year. I've told Cheryl about it, and when Cheryl gets her teeth into something, she doesn't let go. She's like a terrier. So even if I wanted to stop, she'll maintain this. So that's going on. And another thing, ever since I started this allotment, it's introduced me to new things. And one thing I never thought, in fact my family will find this hilarious, one thing I hate is cushions. You know, you go into a furniture shop and the beds and the settees are covered in cushions. So if I want to sit on the settee and try it out, first thing I do is I throw the cushions off. And being a bit of a grumpy old man, I don't care where I am. If these idiots in shops want to cover their furniture in cushions, I'm quite happy to throw them all around the shop, and I do. And Cheryl gets incredibly embarrassed, and I say, look, I'm trying to buy a settee. If they want to just cover it in obstructions, I'm sorry, but they're going. So I always throw cushions everywhere. I hate cushions. Cheryl has them in the house, and I throw them in the house as well. I hate cushions. However, I don't know if you can see that. There's me telling you I hate cushions, and I saw these online and I thought, I've got to have a couple of them in my shed. So that's what I've done. I bought a couple of cushion, I mean actually they're just cushion covers. The cushions Cheryl had sitting somewhere in under the stairs because she bought new ones and she knows if I see them I'll throw them away. However, luckily I didn't. So I now have a couple of YouTube cushions in the shed. So this allotment just keeps introducing me to new things. Right, cup of tea, and I'm going to carry on with raising that bed. Cheers. Well, project raised bed is complete. That's the one bed that floods all through the winter. So I put the wooden edging in. It's backfilled with compost from the compost heaps that hadn't rotted down. That'll be John's kettle boiling. So it's done two good things. One, it's made that bed drier for the future, and secondly, all my compost in all the beds has gone in there, so it's used up almost all of my decomposing compost. So that I mean, it'll drop inevitably, but that should be a really fertile bed now. I'm really pleased with that. It's taken a lot of physical work, but I think I'll reap the rewards. The rhubarb is starting to come up. Another sign that spring is surely on its way, and I shall have some early rhubarb soon. Just wanted to mention, while I let my tea cool down, that I did a bit of work for Bridget recently in her garden, and she gave me a bit of a tour, which was fascinating. She's got a fantastic lean-to greenhouse on the back of the house, which is very industrious in there. There's all sorts going on in there. But the thing that was really fascinating was the wormery. And I've seen these things, other YouTubers have got them, and you can buy you know, properly built ones by manufacturers and so on, but she's just used an old crate and you know, explained to me how she did it. So I thought, and not just she got the wormery, which has been going a long time. Every now and again, periodically, she digs out, you know, the wormery and takes out the newly made soil, puts it into tubs with lids, like, oh, you know, they're not paint tins, but that sort of thing with a sealed lid. And stores it in the greenhouse for use with potting compost and so on. And it is the most beautiful, crumbly stuff. I know, you know, if you're not an allotmenteer or a gardener, it'll seem strange, but there is something beautiful about that kind of crumbly, friable soil, that when you run it through your fingers, you can feel the potential life in it. It's a wonderful thing, which if you're not a gardener you won't understand, but trust me, all gardeners and people who've got allotments will know what I mean. So it's beautiful stuff, and I'm going to have a go at it. So this afternoon when I get home, I've got an old recycling crate, and she's got it in her greenhouse, and I'm going to do the same. So I'm copying her idea. So thank you, Bridget. And I'll give it a go and see how it gets on. And nothing ventured, nothing gained. The worms and the sort of starter compost, I'm just going to dig out of my compost in the back garden, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so this is my greenhouse at home, and in here I've just put a couple of spadefuls of the compost from my compost heap, and there's quite a few worms in it. He says, yeah, there are, yeah. So that's quite damp to touch, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the bag of kitchen waste. I have this outside the back door, so when we have any vegetable or kitchen waste, and of course we don't have meat products or dairy, so we don't have to worry about that. They go in this tub and come down the compost heap. So I'm going to put them in on top of the worms. That bag I'm going to just soak. That's all the waste from the juicer. That should be good stuff. They probably enjoy that. So, yeah, let's see. So I've soaked the bag, give the worms a chance to break it up, and I'm just going to get some more, just exactly the same sort of waste at the top of the compost heap and pile that in about half full. And then this cover got on top, there are air holes around the top of the box, so I don't have to drill anything. And I'm going to leave that in the greenhouse while it's still winter and see what happens, and I shall let you know. Right, I'll go and fill that up now. Got some of the old compost from the tomatoes last summer. I'm just going to put some soil on it just to form a layer over the top, just to keep the box dark for the worms to come up, hopefully. Yeah, okay, I think that will do it. Job done. And like I say, I'll have a look each week and see how and if it progresses. That'll do for this week, I think. A little bit of everything. It seems a long time ago now that the weather was sunny and spring-like, but you know, this storm, and this really is the tail end of it now. Tomorrow should be a lot nicer, but it's been a funny old week. So thank you to those new subscribers I've got. I do appreciate it. Thank you to all the old subscribers for staying with me, and all being well, I shall be back next week. I think I'll make it weekly now, because I'm going to be optimistic and say the weather can only get better from this. That could bite me in the backside, but you know, with the greenhouse at home and what's going on up here, things are slowly starting to crank up. Albeit I understand it might go backwards, but thank you for watching, and all being well, I shall see you again next week. Look after yourself, and bye for now.